And some of you who've joined us before know a little bit of the background, which is that my name's Stacy Sims. I'm the founder of The Well, and this is our second year of collaborating with On Being to create mindful poetry moments. It was intended to be a school program. We do mindfulness in music in schools. And this year we work to create free content for everyone, which has turned out to be beautiful because we've been able to share that content not just with our schools who are now at home, but also with individuals from all over. And we intended a handful of us in Cincinnati, Troy Bronsink and Amy Tuttle and Manuel Iris and others were going to gather at the Mercantile Library here, a beautiful old library, to do good old-fashioned knee-to-knee consideration of these poems. But this has turned out to be a gorgeous forum for us. So the way it's going to work today, and the format is about the same every week so far, is that I'm going to invite Amy Tuttle and Manuel to hold space for us. It will include a beginning meditation, kind of invocation, a reading of today's poem, which is On Listening to Your Teacher Take Attendance, by Amy Nazuka Matatil. Manuel is going to take us through some conversation and thinking about the poem, lead us into our prompt. We're going to do some writing, and then we're going to do some sharing and listening together. And then we'll hear the poem one last time. So a little bit, also, wonderful Abby, raise your hands. Abby is the one communicating with you. Abby is the manager of all important things. She's going to send a follow-up email so everyone has access to Manuel's information, Amy's information, etc. But briefly, Amy Tuttle, raise your hand there, Amy. Amy Tuttle is the program director of WordPlay. It's an organization in Cincinnati that is dedicated to literacy, and I would say not reading literacy as well as meaning making and social emotional literacy. They do just wonderful programs in the community, and they keep broadening their skill set, but still very focused on youth and poetry and words. So, and she's one of my favorite collaborators of all things. She's just the best. And Manuel Iris is a Cincinnati treasure for sure, Latin American poet, doctorate in Romance languages, a teacher at a local high school, and our poet laureate currently. So, so I'm just delighted to turn it all over to all of you. So Amy, you want to jump in?
Sure thing. Hello, everybody. It's amazing each week to see who shows up in this space and to be involved as both a witness and a participant in the beauty that is crafted. So thank you for taking a pause. It's amazing how often I'm hearing from people that busyness quickly creeps back into many of our lives, even in a digital sphere. And this really golden opportunity exists for us as a human community right now to slow down and to reflect, to ask what we want to see shift in our own lives and in our collective experience, in our culture, our cultures, and to start to integrate some things that maybe have been on the back burner for a while. Last week I had the really amazing opportunity to create a prompt for a collaborative piece with young writers from around the world, and their primary observation of this time is that it's allowed for things to slow down just enough for the ordinary to become magic again. And I love that. I think it's true. And may we try our best during this time today that we have together to allow the busyness to take a back seat and to just sit in the magic of connecting to our own bodies, our writing, our thought, and each other. So go ahead and find yourself seated comfortably. I know for myself, sometimes it helps me when I am dropping into my body and my awareness to pull my spine away from the back of the chair or the couch that I'm sitting in so that I can become as upright as possible. There's a lot of wisdoms that are built upon the idea that the spine is a channel for energy and other ideas to flow through. So go ahead and try to create for yourself a situation where you're sitting upright. And maybe you can even feel the connection between your tailbone all the way up through the top of your head. And if it feels good to you, you are welcome to close your eyes. Allow your cheeks to soften. Maybe your mouth even drops open a little bit, letting out some long-held secret tension. Breathing in together all across the world and letting it go. Another breath in together and letting it go. One more. Now let's take both of our hands and rub them together vigorously, creating some heat in between them. When you feel like you have enough heat, go ahead and just kind of gently, slowly pull them apart. Giving a little space between your hands, feel the warmth. And see if you can add a little bit to this warmth. With each breath, letting it grow and build just a little. It might feel like a tingle or a small vibration. And then find a space in your body where you could most use a little extra warmth and care. And just go ahead and place your hands there. And moving our hands down. All right, welcome. Thanks for being with us. I'm gonna read a poem called On Listening to Your Teacher Take Attendance by Amy Nizuku Matatsuo. Breathe deep, even if it means you wrinkle your nose from the fake lemon antiseptic of the mopped floors and wiped down doorknobs, the freshly soaped necks and armpits. Your teacher means well, even if he butchers your name like he has a bloody sausage casing stuck between his teeth, handprints on his white, sloppy apron. And when everyone turns around to check out your face, no need to flush red and warm. Just picture all the eyes as if your classroom is one big scallop with its dozens of icy blues And you will remember that winter your family took you to the China Sea and you sank your, your face in it to gaze at baby clams and sea stars, the size of your outstretched hand. And when all those necks start to crane, try not to forget someone once lathered their bodies, once patted them dry with a fluffy towel after a bath, set out their clothes for the first day of school. Think of their pencil cases from 3rd grade, full of sharp pencils, a pink pearl eraser. Think of their handheld pencil sharpener and its tiny blade. Okay, so passing over to Manuel for some conversation about this poem.
Yes. To talk about this poem, I would like to also have the poem on display, because it is just a gorgeous poem. Let me share my screen, and then perfect. Thank you. This poem is asking. Well, first I have to say that this poem is deceivingly simple. It looks like it's a poem that is asking and giving to the reader something that is very simple, especially on the take that a poem for what grounds you. And I think that it is a poem for what grounds you, but it is also giving one more step, a step that is very difficult, which is the step of grace and forgiving and love. We all have been, at some point in our life, the other, the different one. And some of us in different contexts have been reminded all the time that we are different, that we are the other. And at some point, it becomes infuriating. And this poem is trying to make the very difficult jump of understanding the other and being able to see the other, that one that is making you the other, the one that is hurting you, to give them the benefit of the doubt and give them even more, to remember that they are not only that, in the same way that you are not only what they see. I'm gonna go step by step in the poem. First, I have to say that this poem was very well chosen, because this is an experience that I had time over time in my life in the United States. Right? And the poem starts by asking for our patience. But patience is not easy. It says in the first verse, breathe deep. And that would be ideal. But then reality comes in, even if it means you wrinkle your nose at the fake lemon antiseptic and the mop floors and the wipe down knobs. Breathing deep is not necessarily easy. Breathing deep is an act, is a challenge. Sometimes slowing down and breathing deep is hard. Yet the poem starts by asking you, by telling you, breathe deep. And there is all the activity, everything that happens. We are in a high school class right after gym. The fresh soaked necks and armpits. That is what you're breathing in, where you're breathing in deep. Yet you still breathe in. Because breathing in when you are fine in a beautiful space is easy. This is what makes the challenge. Thomas Merton had two mystical experiences. One was at the feet of a big Buddha statue. That was a place for meditation. The other one was in the business district of Louisville, Kentucky, surrounded by people, everybody going everywhere. And that is a holy moment because he felt that he loved every human being, and he felt that God was talking to him precisely when it was difficult. Not inside of a temple. He was not in a moment of prayer. He was exactly in the antithesis of that. And there is what he breathed in. So you breathe in even if it means that you wrinkle your nose from the fake lemonade of the mop floors and the wiped down doorknobs, the freshly soaped necks and armpits, when it is the place or the people what makes it difficult, you still breathe in. Sometimes loving. Santa Teresa de Jesus was a saint, and sometimes she said in her prayer, she said, God, I cannot love my brothers and sisters right now. You have to love them through me. So it is an effort, right? So this is a poem of someone that is troubled, of someone that has difficulty to love. This is not the poem from the perspective of he who found grounding, of a person that found harmony. It's exactly the other. It is a person that feels mocked, that feels observed, judged, etc., and yet decides to breathe in. So that first step in the breathing in is important to me. Then, assuming the positive intentions, very quickly the poet tells us, your teacher means well. Even if he's butchering your name like he has a bloody sausage casing stuck between his teeth, handprints all on his white sloppy apron. What is he butchering? Your name, especially if your last name is something like the Sukumatati. You know that it has to be frightening having that last name in high school in the first day of every year. And then this person says, you breathe in, and then you remember that your teacher means well. Love is always the response. But love is not just this beautiful act of accepting. It's this effort. You have to make the effort of loving when it's not easy, when you feel that you're being mocked and hurt. Then, when everybody looks at you, just remember, just look at them and remember when your family took you to that trip to the China Sea and you put your face in the water to look at the clams. The author is taking us back to his childhood, to a moment where, in the context of the poem, everything was love and everything was beautiful. And there is this novelty. They are looking at something new. These people is not used to a last name like yours. And they are looking at you because it is new and you feel observed and you're tired of being observed. That you assume the positive intentions, or you at least assume that they are not evil. And you remember when you were looking at those clams, not because they were weird, but because they were new. And you were a child. And I think this is the part that I love more about the poem, is when she says, do not forget that someone once lathered their bodies. Don't forget that they were children too. You are not only your last name, and they are not only defined by being the ones that are looking at you. They have pasts, they have stories, they were kids, and they were, for someone in the world, they were the center of the universe once, and someone loved them. And you are invited to see them without forgetting that, because in the same way that they must never forget that you are not just the sound of your last name, you should never forget that they are not only the people that only remembers the sound of your last name, because they go back to their houses and they love and they, you know, they feel and they have families, and they were someone different to what they are right now. They were a child and you were a child. We go in the poem from her childhood to their childhood, from the childhood that you know to the childhood that you imagine, but that you know they have. And that brings them together. At the end, they're equal, because forgiveness is to not forget that the other is not other. Is to remember that that connection exists. That those two kids, if you were a kid and that person that is laughing at your name were kids, you would be playing and the name would be not relevant, because kids go beyond that for nature. And the act of forgiving, the act of being this generous, and to see beyond that person that is hurting you, to see the kid that they used to be, is hard. This poem is inviting us to do something really difficult, which is to forget that the people that stereotype you are not just people that stereotype you. To not forget that they are also sophisticated and complicated, and they also have a soul that is polyedric. That they have they are human in everything that this means. But that, again, just like at the beginning of the poem, is not easy. To breathe and to give this grace is an act of effort. It's a challenge. You have to breathe in even if it smells bad. You have to breathe in even if it's difficult. You have to forgive even when it's not easy. And then it says, remember the first day of school. Remember that verse. It's beautiful. That verb is beautiful, because now you remember, like you saw it. You didn't, but you saw your own childhood and you assume your childhood in theirs. And it says, try to not forget as if you knew. You cannot forget what you never saw. But the poet takes us there and says, try to not forget, because you know this. Try to not forget someone once lathered their body. Someone loved them very much. They were the center of the universe. Someone patted them dry with a fluffy towel after a bath and said their clothes to the first day of school. Someone was taking care of them. Think, and here we have to be very careful in the last stanza. Think of their pencil cases from the third grade, full of sharp pencils. The pencils are sharp, and we end in the word blade. Both things could be weapons or used for creativity. We give them the opportunity to be more than what they seem to be. And that is what I see in the poem. I'm sorry, I always talk too much. We cannot hear you, Stacy.
Okay. Manuel, would you like to lead us into the writing prompt?
Yes, I can do that.
Okay, thank you.
On listening to your teacher take attendance is as we have seen, is a poem that invites at the beginning to breathe deep. And we already talked about how difficult sometimes that is. So take a moment, all of you, to think about a time when you needed to be brave. And try to write a poem that starts with that phrase, with breathe. And use this idea of breathing deep and center yourself, even if it's hard, to write a poem of your own. And that is it. It's very straightforward.
Thank you, Manuel. And I'm going to set a timer and we're all just going to do a free write, fast write for around 12 minutes. And then we'll come back to the group experience and see who would like to share either something they've written or just thoughts they've had about this experience. So let's go. So we've got almost 4 minutes left for writing. So just to check in so you know where we are in our writing time. I'll be back. So move yourself to the end of your sentence or thought. So we're going to open up the chat. I'm opening up my chat screen. And Manuel, again, will ask anyone who wants to read or share. If you just write your name and
Write in the chat that you can share.
yes, yes. And then Manuel will call your name and we'll open up the mic and we'll get to hear from a handful of folks.
Holly, would you like to start? Where are you, Holly?
Thank you. Yeah, hi, I just wanted to unmute. Thank you. Okay. Breathe deep, even when your lungs betray you, with the bitter winds blowing toward your mouth, threatening a storm. Escape to a place with more skill needed to navigate the troubled waters you ride now. Take in the tide of anger and reshape it into forms yet known to you. Unknown truths molded into makeshift rafts we've all sailed. Travel dangerously into another's footprints on a far shore, distantly viewed through the needle eye of our own inhumanity. Torrents of your own making won't quench the heat rising in your face. Walk over the fire and keep still your pain. Carry it close, for it can reveal the pain you too have inflicted, showing scars mapped on other skins that beat in other hearts. We are the topography we allow ourselves to journey over.
Beautiful. Thank you, Holly.
Thank you, Holly.
Thank you. Heather? Heather Peroni, would you like to share?
This is a conversation with an only child and mother with end-stage respiratory disease in the time of COVID. Breathe deep. Okay. Okay, Mom, we have to talk. Your caregiver can't come help anymore. I can't trust her. It will have to be me. Okay, I understand. But we have to be honest. I'm the only one who comes here, but I need to know. Okay. Breathe deep. You know I work in the hospital. Yes, I know. You know that every time I come here, you are at risk, bigger risk than most. Yes, I know. Breathe deep. Mom, are you afraid of the virus? No. No, I'm not afraid of the virus. She breathes deep. What I'm afraid of is not seeing you. Breathe deep. Okay then, Mom. Okay.
Thank you, Holly.
Thank you. Thank you, Heather. Sarah, are you there, Sarah? You to share?
Yes, thank you. Breathe deep, even if you're sure everyone will notice, even if you're sure how obvious it is that you're calming yourself. Your accent is local, and so they cannot know that you have none of the vocabulary of the humor everyone else seems to share, that you have none of the quotes or trivia from the pop culture in which everyone else seems to partake, that you cannot read the body language everyone else seems to speak with so fluently. When reference is made to a cultural phenomenon of which you have no knowledge, glance subtly at other bodies and mirror their poses and their reactions, and remember that you are smart, that you are in the 96th percentile in national testing, that just because you are still emerging from the religious cocoon that isolated you your entire childhood, you can catch up. Tell yourself you are a late bloomer. Tell yourself late blooms are large, juicy blossoms that burst open in a riot of color. Tell yourself that if these interlocutors notice you are breathing, either they will love you for it, or else you will find more interlocutors, because part of this great emerging is the joy of discovery.
Thank you, Sarah. Such a brave poem. Isti? T?
Thank you. Breathe deep, even it's hard for you to breathe. Breathe because that's the most visible thing to do right now. Breathe because it's both a bless and a sign of life. Then hold it for a while before you let it go, before you breathe it out. Observe it when you hold it. There is a space in between for you to feel and feel the solitude, the aloneness instead of loneliness, then let go. Breathe out. Whatever it is, to breathe out, to let go, means you reach the highest, the mightiest, and the kindest care of yourself. To breathe out, to let go means you stop the things you cannot control that can control you. To breathe out, to let go, is not similar to ignorance. Please worry nothing. You will see when you are worried. Your breath gets distracted. Your breath has no space in between. Your breath becomes wild like a beast. And I don't want, and I will not dare you to be controlled or even eaten by that beast, because this is not Beauty and the Beast.
Thank you, Isti. And I think we have time for only one more. Sarah, you're raising your hand.
I was just clapping.
Oh. Okay. So I think we have time for one more before we close the whole session. Rebecca?
Okay, this took me back to an old childhood memory. Breathe deep. Blow out through your nose. The shivering, pasty knees with their taunting eyes implore you, dive already. The pool encased in coastal fog, the instructor's impatience does nothing to engender trust, nor his hairy arms. In fact, I'm not altogether certain he will catch me at all. Breathe deep. Head bowed to the stench of chlorine, cheeks flushed, fogged goggles, freckled buck teeth chattering. Come on, just do it. Hands up, pointing in the direction of my inevitable drowning. The splash and sinking surprise me, my mouth agape, sputtering, sinuses burn, coughing, gasping, grasping for the wall. The next 3 students, like tiny synchronized swimmers, have already taken their turns. My mother told me I was brave, but looking around, it was impossible for me to believe her.
Beautiful, thank you.
Thank you so much. And now I'm gonna give back the group to Stacy for closing and do the last housekeeping things.
Thank you. So beautiful, everyone. A couple of housekeeping ideas. You're going to get an email from Abby, and in the email, she's ahead of me all the time. She's so good. If you want to share the poem that we collect each week, we record this experience and then we collect poems and we put them on our website so that there's a legacy beyond our gathering. So if you want to share, please do so. Also, if you happen to know of any young people, we would love to see some response poems from the next generation. So all of the poems have been written with young people in mind. So if that resonates, let us know. I think that's it. We have a couple more weeks together, a couple more poems to consider. I'm very excited. We have some special guests coming up and we'll let you know about that. So I think that is it. Thank you so much to Amy and to Manuel and to all of the people who read today. And also it's so exciting to see people who have, I think, staying up really late or getting up really early to join us. So thank you for that. So I'm going to have Manuel read the poem to us, and then I'm going to chime us out with our little Koshi chimes.
Should I share the poem or Abby, could you send? Thank you.
I don't know. It's a toss-up.
There we go. On Listening to Your Teacher Take Attendance by Aimi Nesuki Matati. Breathe deep, even if it means to wrinkle your nose from the fake lemon antiseptic of the mop floors and wipe down doorknobs. the freshly soaped necks and armpits. Your teacher means well, even if he butchers your name like he has a bloody sausage casing stuck between his teeth, handprints on his white sloppy apron. And when everyone turns around to check out your face, no need to flush red and warm. Just picture all of the eyes as if your classroom is one big scallop with its dozen of icy blues, and you will remember that winter your family took you to the China Sea and you sank your face in it to gaze at baby clams and sea stars, the size of your stretched hand. And when all of those necks starts to crane, try to not forget someone lather their bodies once patted them dry with a fluffy towel after a bath, set out their clothes for the first day of school. Think of their pencil cases from 3rd grade, full of sharp pencils, a pink pearl eraser. Think of their handheld pencil sharpener and its tiny blade. Thank you.
Thanks so much, everyone. I have to say, in these unique times, every one of you look like the most beautiful human beings on the planet Earth. It's just a real pleasure to be able to have these deep resonant experiences. So thanks to On Being, thanks to all of you, and thanks to these poets. My goodness. Have a beautiful week. We'd love to hear from you, and we'll see you in a week.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.